In this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually perform a general security analysis on a DeFi protocol or any dApp or blockchain project to see how secure they are despite the claim. So as you know, today I'm actually going to focus on Aave and give you a short introduction, teach you how to before investing a lot of money in these projects to have some understanding about what's going on behind the scene and see it's worth it for investment or not. So these are, I try to make them very simple and general so everybody can understand this with any level of knowledge, but it would be very useful and give you a better picture. So Aave, as you know, is one of the top-notch DeFi protocols. It's very famous at the moment, and it got a name in industry. As you know, many of these DeFi projects, they also audit these smart contracts and they have like audit certificate. But one point you need to know that they are limited to smart contracts only, right? So that means the front end and back end usually don't have that kind of certificate. They might actually give this task to some companies for penetration testing, for security testing as well. But those audit security reports you see, they are mostly for smart contracts. So the matter is if the front end, for example, the website is vulnerable, there is like a sneaky JavaScript library or something like that, users can get hacked, or the protocol can get hacked. How? For example, you need to connect your wallet to the smart contract, right? And it happened through interface mostly as you know it's part of the interface, and if there is a manipulation there, somebody can gain access to the front end, change those libraries, those JavaScript libraries. You get connected to a wrong contract, and your identity, your private key can get compromised. Actually, you can install also malware or keylogger, other stuff on your application if the front end of website or server of a DeFi project actually get compromised. And the other thing is many actually dApps and blockchain projects, they claim that they are fully decentralized. Fully decentralized means everything, even front end, back end, everything is on a decentralized distributed network. And if they have some components, some critical components on I don't know, on Amazon, on Google, on I don't know, Meta, any other servers like that, any centralized server, that means they're not fully decentralized. So today in this video, I try to make it short but useful for everybody. And we're gonna do some security tests to see what's going on. I know Aave for years, and I was actually curious to do some, out of curiosity, to actually a little bit mess around with the public resources. I mean, it's not hack or something, it's not something illegal. To get some knowledge about that and what's going on behind the scene, what technologies they use and how decentralized they are and how safe they are. So I try to make it as simple as possible. I have a PhD in cybersecurity and I'm a blockchain developer as well. So when you open a website, like aave.com, you find the website, you can easily go inspect and see a lot of stuff about the headers, about the libraries they use, a lot of things going on the front end side. Okay, these information are just on the front end side. So we have a lot of things here. The other way actually we can figure out some level of security and servers and the third parties here is to use some basically terminal commands and analyzing basically a protocol. So I open a terminal here, and first I actually try to dig, and get some information about the domain, about the server and hosting information. So I just do aave.com. So I get some information about the server, about the speed, about message size, and so on. In order to get a little bit better information, I use like host command. I use actually Mac, but you can use also Linux and other operating system. They have this kind of tools or alternative tools. So I use the host, and here, as you can see, Aave actually use Google.com for their mail services. So it's handled by Google, and a um, Google is actually a centralized system. So that means Google has control over the email, right? So in case Google get compromised or Google try to ban this protocol, they can do it. So it doesn't do anything with the smart contracts. So other thing I like to a little bit check about this protocol is about the SSL protocols. If they are safe in terms of SSL, that means it's a bit harder to basically perform man-in-middle attack and spoofing attack. So how I'm gonna do that? I use open SSL command, and I use as client, and then I use connect, then aave.com and 443, which is associated with for TLS for SSL, and show certificate. I just want to see if the certificate is new, is not expired, is fine or not. So as you can see, it's all fine. It's also issued by Google, so it seems they heavily rely on Google for the services. The SSL also is issued by Google. So I wonder actually why Aave doesn't use like distributed decentralized system. So because so far we've seen they use Google for the email and also for the SSL. So well, that means that rely on a centralized server and system like Google. So now I'm gonna do a little bit more technical stuff on the front end side, and I wanna check the header, inspect that to see what's going on there. So I use curl again, I use I and HTTPS aave.com. So I wanna see how safe is against like XSS phishing attacks and things like this. So and get some information about the stack layer of the front end. So they use Next.js, I mean obviously as you can see here. They use um, Fercel hosting, and they use also Cloudflare for CDN and proxy. So they probably use Cloudflare for um, protecting them against DOS attack, and things like that, which is a good movement. But they could actually use it on a distributed, decentralized network too, like IPFS and places like that, the alternative servers. So they rely on a lot of centralized actually services, which is, I think, a down point. So it's not fully decentralized, as they claim. So yeah, so so far, based on the information here, I can interpret this for you. We know that they use Google Trust Service for SSL certificates, and they use also TLS version 1.3 for secure network connection. Um, However, based on the information, I can also grab. Maybe I can do it a little bit more in depth here about their header protocol. I can use actually curl, which is a very Swiss knife. It's a very multifunctional tool, and I can get some more information about what they have on the security headers on the front end side. So if I grab this information and put them, just limit them to security and content and strict, then I can get all right. So what do we have? So based upon the stuff here, um, I can say, yeah, there is a problem with X content here. Sorry, this is actually fine because it prevents against man-in-middle attack, which is a fine thing. They have HSTS actually implemented, which is for static transport security, which is a good thing. They have cache control, which is also nice. They use like Next.js framework, Vercel hosting, and Cloudflare for as the part of the front end and protection against DDoS attack, which is okay. They do not have CSP actually, like content security policy either, which is bad, which is make them vulnerable towards XSS and those kind of attack, client-side attacks, and yeah, they are not well protected against phishing and like XSS attack, I would say. Um, which they can actually work on it. I mean, based on my simple, fast experiments, and analysis on the platform on the front end only. I haven't actually dig deeper on the back end or API endpoint of smart contracts yet. But it give you, as audiences, some idea about how to analyze actually new protocol to see what's going on behind the scene, behind of these pretty interfaces, what's there. And the other point, actually, I'd like to say, although it's a decentralized actual lending protocol, um, but it seems they heavily rely on like centralized infrastructure like Cloudflare, like Google for email and SSL and Vercel for web hosting. So I think that's a little bit downgrade of its claim to be a decentralized system, because if any of these third parties decide to mess around or they want to ban or do something, they can actually interfere with user privacy. So that's not very okay so far. So yeah, that was the first part of this analysis. As I promised, I want to make it short and easy and understandable for everybody. I hope you like this one, and see you soon.